If this is your first time watching any of my videos, thank you for finding us. We make things from silverware and some other stuff. I tonight am making, well, I haven't made one yet, but I will be making fork snail napkin rings from these dinner forks. These are the larger size forks. So I'll be using, I'm going to do them two different ways for you. I'm going to use my time bender here. It's basically a hollow tube. You can use copper pipe also. And you can also use a pair of pliers. These were snap ring pliers that had tips on them. I just ground those off. So these are nice and heavy duty. And I'll be using these flat nose pliers. Also my press from Flatwareables. The links for all of these are down in the description. And let's see, you're gonna probably need a mallet to be able to get everything really round. Most of the stuff that I'm doing on the press, you can also do in the vise with a pipe or some PVC, some heavy PVC. So let's get started. So like I said, these are dinner forks. And we're gonna get started. All right, now let's get started. So first I'm going to flatten these out. This is my Harbor Freight press. It's a 1-ton arbor press. I have 2 steel plates here. This one comes with the flat wearable bar, but I'm using 2 because these are longer tines. I don't like the tines to hang over the piece because sometimes they'll get little nicks in them. Let me get the camera to stop auto-focusing. Hi Sherrill. Hi Emily. Try and get my camera here set up. Focus off. So this part's just pretty simple. Okay, you can do this with a mallet. I'm just going to use the press because it's fast. And I have a bunch of these to do tonight. I have a special order for a bunch of them. Make sure I flatten the other end too. So we'll start with those 3. This shouldn't be super long today. This is one of the forming blocks. Actually, I just got new ones right here. These are 4 years old, I think. And I finally got brand new ones. And these are magnetic, which are nice. I'm going to save those because these get beat up pretty good. All right, so what I did was I'm using one of the smaller rollers. These are the other size rollers. That's a large, this is a small, this is the medium, and this one here is the large. So I put that on there, and then this is a piece of, is it 1 inch PVC Schedule 40. It's the thicker stuff. All right, so I'm going to take this. I want this to roll up and be on the top the curved end of the spoon. So even though you flatten this, there's a little bowl right here because you're on the same side of the fork. I want to roll this up onto the top of that. So this will come right over. That'll help our guy sit nice and flat. So I'm going to start with the pattern going up. So I'm going over in the press and I'm bending it a little bit. So I'm starting to get a good shape. And what we're going to keep doing is going around. Pretty sure this was the right one. Oh, that was it. Yep. I don't use that attachment whenever I'm making the snails. Because it's just a little too big. A lot of times you can get leverage right here and get that brought over, or you can bring the snail over and then hammer down. That puts our shell nice and round, and it's sitting pretty much in our little valley there. For the next part, let me unzoom you. So the next part, I'm going to take my time bender or my pair of pliers here. Shut the autofocus off. There we go. So I always start with the legs. They're the two outside. And what I'm doing is I'm starting to bend this tine around. This is the part where you're going to find out if your fork will allow you to bend it. Some of them will break at this point, so you have to kind of pull out just a little bit so you get a little less kink or hard turn in this. So I'm going to run that all the way back, and I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. If you pulled it out a little bit, you want to do the same thing. So both legs should be pretty close to the same. So now our guy has feet. Sitting pretty good. Sorry, I'm answering messages here at the same time. So for this part, it really takes a toll on your wrist if you don't use some sort of tool. I like to use these pliers because I have a bigger grip on them. You can also use flat nose pliers here. You don't want to leave too many marks. That's why I like the round ones. I've got it pinned underneath, in between here and the top of these tines. I'm going to put this on here, and this is the easy part. We're just going to bring it up, and we're going to bring it over. So that made one of our eyes, future eyes. So we've got our two eyes. Oh, my typing is horrible. Crazy songs coming on my radio. So we have our snail. Sorry for the delay and everything. So this guy is missing something. He's missing a couple of eyes. So I take my round nose pliers here again, and I like to bend them back. So I'm getting about that close, leaving quite a bit up at the top. I'm going to grab it here, and I'm going to rotate this right around. I'm going to bring my pliers out just a little bit so I get the smaller end, and I'm going to go all the way until it's closed. If it doesn't close right there, I'll bring it over to my anvil, and I'll close it. So now we have an eye. We're going to take, let me bring it back over here. We're going to clip onto it with the flat nose pliers, and you can rotate it out. The other thing you can do is you can go forwards. We'll do that on the next one. So still trying to keep everything the same. As soon as it gets over that little bit, I like to bring my pliers towards the tip. That gives me a nice, consistent eyeball. So now we've got eyes. Now we need to just make sure that he is flat, so whenever we put him on the table, so this guy's actually pretty flat. Here's how I adjust it. Okay, so you can see that there's a little gap here. All I do is I'm just gonna bend it just a touch. I want the snail, whatever it sits, it should just sit. It shouldn't bounce or lean to one side. And you can kind of see how his eyes are kind of back. Like this one's forward and this one's back. You can take your flat pliers and just kind of bend those back if you want. Sometimes I'll bend them back just to get my center of gravity back a little bit, so it's not wanting to tilt forward. So we have a nice snail there. Let's do one a lot faster. Bring you guys over here again. I've already got these flat. So again, pattern up. And we're going to start out with the correct piece there. I know somebody is going to ask. This is the 1 1/4 inch forming roll. So pattern up. Just bending it around. Once I get to this point, there's a point where you can no longer hit the piece from this side. So once the fork comes over too far, you're not going to be able to hit it. So what I do right here is, while this is still able to be hit, I'm going to pull down with my left hand, and I want to round that over so it doesn't leave such a kink. And like we did before, once we get to this spot, I just like to tap it so it's in there nice and clean. Everything's neat. All right, come back over here. All right, so this one I'm going to do with my pliers. The easiest way to do this is to use leverage to your advantage. We're going to start down here about 1/4 inch from the gap right here. If you go down too low, it's almost always guaranteed it's going to snap off. So we're going to start with our bottom part of the pliers about 1/4 inch out underneath, and we're going to raise the top one up as high as we can comfortably get it, and then just lean back on it. The tool marks are basically able to be rubbed off. If you pinch this, you're going to leave tool marks. So once you get it bent, then you can come down a little lower. Still no tool marks. Flip it over. It's important to get this part right. Be back in the same spot that you were the first time. So you can see with this one that the tines have a little curve to them. We're going to have to use our flat nose pliers to get those worked out. So from here, still using these pliers, get in tight to there, get your pliers spread apart, and then you can bring it up. At this point, I'll take my flat nose pliers and I'm going to pull it out to the side. Do the same thing to the other side. Trying to get it to where you guys can still see. Okay, grab our pliers here. And this time we're going to go forward with the eyes, still leaving enough out of the top so that whenever this rolls over, it's not going to run out. If it does run out, you can still clip it together. But you might have a little bit more of a gap. that you need to hammer together. So we bent this one forward. We're going to do the same thing with this side. Cut about half the distance. So we have a little gap here. We'll bring it right over here. Sorry, everybody. Just a little tap. And now we'll take our flat nose pliers. Which way do we go with the last one? So the last eyes we took out. So this guy. Let's run them inside now. So I'm just grabbing the eyeball here. And I'm just turning it 45 degrees. Do the same thing to this one. Bend it to the inside. And there we go. It's amazing just how much of a difference the eyes make. Just going out, they look different. Coming in, they look different. You can make them go all squiggly all over the place by just kind of bending them around. And don't be afraid to experiment and tweak them around. They have lots of character. All right, now we're going to check for flat. So it's definitely not flat. What I look for at this step is I want this to be level this way. So if I'm looking at it right now, I want this direction here. I want it to sit right like this. So that means this leg I need to bring down. Sometimes you have to fiddle with them quite a bit. And it's just tiny little bits. Almost there. Squish. So just messing with the legs, trying to get them to do what I want them to. Sometimes it's just a matter of just this very tip. Take just a touch more. There we go, that's a lot more stable. Yep, we'll take that one. And I don't have the PVC pipe to do one of the snails. Let me get you unzoomed here. I don't have the PVC to be able to do one in the vise, but the press, this is the easiest way that I've found. So just try and go through one real quick. Once you get the hang of it, it should only take a couple of minutes. If you do shows, I used to do all the metal work here in the shop, and then once we got to the show, I would bend them. So I could do all of this work ahead of time. So you'll notice it does have a little kink down here sometimes. Sometimes that's just from the metal. It's perfectly fine for the snails because we want all of this part flat, so we don't have to worry so much about it. So now flip that one around. So I would do just the shell and toss them in the bag. And then whenever I got to the show and I needed snails, you could just bend them right on the spot. There we go. Now just squish these guys. I found that it's easier to squish them in this position than to get them turned first. If you forget, you still can, but sometimes it's a little bit harder to get this piece where you want it on the vise. So we'll check it for level. I want that to be up just a little bit higher. Come on. Such a tiny little bit sometimes. There we go. Nope, and now this one's off. So see how one little bit can make this go just crazy. There we go. See how it wanted to tilt forward? So this is where I'll take and I'll drop this down. So I'm trying to get the center of gravity to be further back. That's a lot better. So I've got a couple more to make. If you guys have any questions, I'll start getting these flattened. I need 6 for my order, but anytime I make something, I normally make extras. if you use the smaller forks, like the salad forks, I could do those with my hands and the pliers. I would flatten them down at home, because before I had the press, I would beat on them with my, oops. Before I had my press, I would use this guy. This is my 1.5 pound dead blow mallet. And this guy to get them flat. So I'd be banging on them for, normally I do a lot at a time, so sometimes an hour or like half an hour, and give my arm a break. And, ooh, that one's thick. So whenever I was making the little bugs, because the snails, the small snails, are made the exact same way. And these pieces of silverware are pretty thick. And I normally will use them because they're thick, because they're really hard to bend into anything else. I would use the really thick ones for wind chimes. Or pieces where I just needed the tines. All right, let's swap this back out. All right, pattern side up. I try to do them with the pattern side down, but sometimes they just didn't sit right. And by holding this with my left hand, it gives me more pressure to hit with my right hand, my more dominant hand. If you can't bend it physically, get it in the groove there and hit it right here. So again, I'm holding down here. So you can do all that with just the hammer. So, and this is the way I would put it in the bags to go to the shows. And repeat. And these are really thick pieces. Really thick pieces. It's really that part right there that really helps get the round. Oh, pattern up. Sometimes you just get going too fast, or you start thinking about something else and something gets put together backwards. I've done that so many times making bracelets. Just be talking and then I put the bead on the wrong part. or I would just totally mess something up. I have made snails the wrong direction. I've made bugs the wrong direction. And these are all coming out pretty consistent, nice and round. This is all the same pattern. This was the other pattern. Again, really thick. If you guys have any questions, just let me know. I'm just gonna finish these up. My finger's starting to hurt. Use leverage to your advantage anytime that you can. So I'm happy about the new block because I'm getting 2 blocks. One's a little bit different shape. Flip it over. So this block tends to go sideways on me, where the piece will actually turn. Just a little tap will get it back to center. All right, 3 more, and then we can move on. Always making sure there's no, make sure I'm going the right direction. Tool marks is one of the biggest things that shows on your jewelry. So anytime you can use the leverage, like with the pliers, where you're not pinching, you're just kind of using it, the leverage to bend it. Really helps with those fork tines. One more. So this is the same pattern, but for some reason this one just bent really easy. So I can see from my point of view, my tines, my head is kind of offset. So just pull that right around to get it lined up. All right, that goes there. You can lose that guy. Okay, and here's our steps. We're gonna finish these guys off nice and quick. These are really thick, this pattern. So you're just using the leverage of the pliers to be able to hold this in place. This tool does make it so much easier. There's DIYs on how to make these tools from certain certain screwdrivers. I think I tried before I ordered this one from Flatware, and I ended up getting the wrong one. So I was like, okay, I'll just order it, make things easy. You can use a small copper pipe. They don't leave marks, big marks anyways. And after a little bit, you just kind of get into a routine. Just go right around. Try not to get stuck with the fork tines. Sometimes your hand gets in the wrong position and you just stab yourself. And like I said, doing these at the shows, while I was sitting there at the table, normally my wife would be the one standing doing the sales and I was doing the customizing, and no matter what, I was always making more stuff, or I was customizing pieces on our bracelets, changing out stones, resizing them. I got my bracelets down to being completely wired with beads in about 8 minutes. Thank you, OCD. Some shows aren't quite as exciting as others, so it's always nice to be able to do something. So even if you're not getting sales, you're still creating product. And if you're just doing this for fun, these are nice and easy to do. and they make really cool gifts. We did some of these for a wedding. The bud vases we've done for weddings. Whenever we're making small snails, we put a big snail next to it. It's essentially the same thing, just a bigger fork, and the snail shell doesn't keep going around. I think my ADHD was too much to sit there and not do something. Shaking now. There we go. Two more. So the outside tines first. Last one. Oh, that's where that ring went. I just looked over and I saw a little plastic baggie. Like, what is that? It's a Herkimer diamond ring that I made out of sterling. Get this guy done and I'll show it to you. I don't remember how long ago I made that. I love Herkimer diamonds. Okay. Whew, it's rough on the wrists. So I don't remember how long ago I made this. Just a simple Herkimer diamond. Every year for shows we'd go to Herkimer, New York for their summer festival. And do I need this? No, I don't. I'd always be looking for Herkimer diamonds to wrap. So this is one of the things that you'll come up against. Sometimes you won't have enough of the tip out before it coming around. So I'll try and change that there, and it still ran short. Yeah, this is one of those thick that guy's a little topsy there. Just a hair more. There we go. He's done. This guy's done. That guy's done. That one's closer. And if your eye isn't in the spot that you want it, this is going to be the easiest time to move it before you get the eye made. And this is another kind of cool thing. The eyes can be at different levels. Like this one's definitely a lot bigger eye than this guy. So again, we have this big spot here. First try? Oh, barely. There we go. Looks good. This guy I'm going to give really big eyes. Tap this guy down. A little bit more character. Oh, that one's done. That one started to bend really easy, or really hard, and then it got really easy, so it scared me for a second. I thought it broke. Get his foot down here. It looks like I'm making big bends, but I'm just barely bending this. There we go. Some eyeballs on this guy. So we got 4 more, and I tumble these before I make them, which is another thing that helps. I do the tumbling obviously at home before the show, but I tumble them before I build them. There's hardly ever any tool marks on them. And any sharp edges I could hit with the edge of the pliers, or normally I'll have my Dremel tool of some sort with me. So up next for me tonight, I have to make a dog. Well, I have to make two dogs. One is a Yorkie, and the other is a, what'd she say it was? She said either a wolf or her dog, which is a Pomeranian and something else. Those little puppies are always so cute. So I've got two more left to do, and then I'm gonna hop off the live, get those dogs cut out real quick so they can go out tomorrow morning. Let's see, I want this guy to go that way a little bit more. Come on. There we go. There we go. And last one. So thank you guys for hanging out with me or watching this. I am gonna try and get some of these lives made into smaller tutorials, so you just get the juicy bits and not the mundane. Last leg. If I remember right, the pad that the snail slides on is called a foot. Okay, so you can always toss these back in the tumbler to make, just if you wanted to, but like I said, I always shine them up first. I always shine them up beforehand. There's hardly any marks on these at all, which makes them great for doing at shows or just practicing. If you start with the smaller ones, the regular sized forks, there's an apple fork. Here, fork, fork, fork. There we go. So this is just a little guy. If you have these graduated pliers like this, the link for these is down in the description. You still want to keep it going the same direction. We'll just flatten this out real quick. And then with these pliers here, you can just start to roll. You get that started. And then this guy here, you can just take the flat, bring it right around. Bring that right around. These guys go up like this. And then take your round nose pliers, and these guys you can get away generally with the smaller round nose pliers because they're a lot softer, a lot easier to bend. Make sure this guy's sitting on his back legs. Squish. And there we go. Got us a little baby snail. Baby snail. So there's the difference between the two. Napkin ring. Not a napkin ring. The other nice part about these is if you have flower pots, you can just stick them on the edge of your flower pot. Even the big guys will do it. We've had people use them to hold stuff. But yep, cute little guy, big guy. So thank you guys all for joining me. If you haven't yet, please subscribe. I make all kinds of videos. We have our giveaway that's coming up next Wednesday for the dragonfly. And if you haven't seen the video for that, go and comment on the 2,500 subscriber giveaway. Yeah, it's a little 1 minute short. But thank you guys very much for joining me, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you.